Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Darrell Winning, your chief meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and today is when that active weather pattern started. We've already been getting wet, the mountains are already getting some snow, and we are in for a fun ride that's going to bring some totals into our lower elevations. Heavy mountain snow, and there's already a series of winter weather alerts in effect through the Cascades, and we already see some of those very strong wind gusts. Now, even up at the highest elevations, we do have snow falling through the Cascades, and there have been some pockets of clearing across Central Oregon. But before we go any further, let's just look at that winter storm impact graphic. And for most of the high desert, we are looking at limited impacts, but through the passes, we have moderate impacts. Some red in there, some major, but even up towards Government Camp, minor impacts. And getting down to Diamond Lake Junction, it looks like, again, moderate impact. So it's something that we have been talking about for several days. In fact, I started talking about this winter weather event last week, and it's finally here. We're finally starting to get some of that mountain snow. And in the Cascades, that's where we actually have some snow on the roads from Century Drive and Sunnier Pass. Now, Government Camp, we see mostly wet roads out there. Now, Willamette Pass, looks like some wintry mix has been falling, and it actually looks like some snow on the ground. So some slick roads possible at Willamette Pass. And a quick look across the rest of Central Oregon, we mostly just have wet roads from Lapine all the way through Prineville Sisters to Lava Butte. And when it comes to our weather alerts, this is what we're looking at. And there is a series of winter storm warnings in effect for the Cascades of Central Oregon, including for the east slopes of the Cascades, 9 to 14 inches with gusts at 40 plus miles per hour. Looking up on to the crest of the Cascades and the west slopes, that's where we're looking at 10 to 20 inches. And just to break down some of those numbers, I have some notes right here. It looks like above 5,500 feet, we're looking at 18 to 24 inches. Below that, that's where we're getting 10 to 18 inches. And this is going to be through the entire event, so through 5 p.m. on Thursday. Outside of that, there is a winter weather advisory for the west slopes of the Cascades closer to Government Camp, and in that part of the area, that's where we're looking at 12 to 20 inches of snow. And there's another area of purple south of Lapine, that winter weather advisory. So winds are gusty. We're getting some snow by 7 a.m. tomorrow. Many of our roads are actually going to be slick. Some light snow on the roads, not just through the Cascades, but much of Central Oregon, just not our lower elevations, but that does also include Bend, Government Camp, Sunnier Pass, Willamette Pass, and Diamond Lake Junction. Remember, the mountains are catching the brunt of this system, but some light totals are expected through Central Oregon. And at a glance for Thursday, we still have some snow showers by 7 a.m. and even noon. By noon, we're starting to clear out, and by 5 p.m., more sun. As the sun is setting, more sunshine is expected, but it is going to be a chilly and gusty day. By the time it's all said and done, we're looking at a trace to maybe getting 4 inches across Central Oregon. And then through the Cascades, that's where a lot more mountain snow is expected. However, there's a little bit of a caveat to that. One of our forecast models shows 4 to 8 inches at Government Camp, and the other one shows a little bit more. We'll talk about that other one when we get to it. Now, Willamette Pass and Diamond Lake Junction both showing 12 to 18 inches, as well as Sunnier Pass also showing a grand total, an event total of 12 to 18 inches. Now, satellite and radar currently shows that there's a lot of cloud cover. There have been some pockets of clearing, and as of right now, we do have some showers rolling through and snow in the Cascades as of this evening. Now, on top of that, when we look at the bigger picture, not only do we have this massive low pressure system that's rolling inland from the eastern Pacific to the coastline, but look at this. We have those white lines on the map, and these are isobars, constant lines of pressure. When they're closely oriented next to each other, we call that a steep lapse rate. and that's where we pretty much have gusty conditions, and that's what we have been seeing. In fact, we're going to look at it a little bit more in detail coming up, but as of right now, gusts are between 25 and 35 miles per hour for much of the Tri-County area, just not quite everybody. On top of that, when it comes to the water vapor satellite imagery, very similar to infrared, just looking at water vapor instead of the temperature of cloud tops. We have this massive system that's still bringing a lot of moisture into the area, but where you start to see this yellow air mass, that's a very dry air mass that's building into the Pacific Northwest on the other side of the Cascades. And then beyond that, we have a broad ridge of high pressure that's going to be building over the Pacific Northwest as well. So a lot to look forward to. Big changes are on the way, and these snow showers continue through tonight. By Thursday, one more weak wave of moisture brings more snow showers before we get that clearing, and by Friday, tons of sunshine and a big warming trend sets up. So when it comes to relative humidity, pretty high right now, moderate to high in the 90s, meaning that we have precipitation falling, and there are some low-level clouds. And when it comes to temperatures in the last 24 hours, highs have mostly been in the 50s with some 40s on the map. As of right now, it's 41. It is chilly in Sister, Sun River, and La Pine. It's in the 50s for most of Central Oregon outside of those locations. And going forward, it's just getting even colder tonight. So as of right now, temperatures are running between 1 and 9 degrees cooler than 24 hours ago. Before this rain became widespread, it was flipped. 1 to 11 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. Now, for tonight, we're actually looking at temperatures falling back into the 20s with a few teens and 30s out there, then by tomorrow topping out in the 40s. It is going to be a chilly and gusty day across the high desert with this last wave of moisture. And I keep saying waves of moisture, but really what we're looking at is reinforcing cold fronts, little troughs of energy that are pushing through the Pacific Northwest after the main cold front. We're going to be talking about that when we get back to our regular forecast model, but this one shows geopotential heights. And geopotential heights really help us focus in on where low pressure is, where high pressure is, where the systems that are really driving our weather pattern are going to be located at any given time. And we also have streamlines, wind flow and direction and speed. Now, there is going to be a high pressure ridge that's building into the region as our trough, as our low moves out of here. So we still have some lingering snow showers Thursday, highs in the 40s with a few 50s and tapering winds late. By Friday, under this high pressure, tons of sunshine and getting pretty pleasant with temperatures topping out in the 60s and some 50s. By Saturday, we're talking 70s and some 60s. Under this broad ridge of high pressure, that high pressure firms up. It establishes itself over the Pacific Northwest as the dominant feature really driving the weather pattern. We get our sunshine. We warm right into this Easter weekend. And so a lot of mountain snow is expected with some snow in our lower elevations. So let's time that out as well. Now, currently, we have a cold front that's been pushing through. This forecast model starts us off at 11 o'clock. And at that time, the first of two reinforcing fronts will already be pushing in. So that's the second wave of moisture. The third wave of moisture is still offshore. So through tonight, more snow showers. This is where we start to see totals in our lower elevations. By Thursday morning, another one. By Thursday afternoon and evening, high pressure starts to flex its muscle, starts to build into the Pacific Northwest. After that, we have tons of sunshine and that big warming trend. So let's look at this from one more perspective. This is the forecast model that I typically use on air. We're going to use a lower resolution but a longer range forecast model, and it actually shows troughs instead of those weak cold fronts. That continues through tonight. By tomorrow, we get clearing late. Under sunshine is when our warming trend really sets up. Not even much in the way of cloud cover until we get to next week. Monday, some clouds, few PM showers. By Tuesday, few PM showers, just a little bit more, and that continues through Wednesday and into Thursday. But between now and Friday at 11 p.m., we are talking about trace to 4 inches in our lower elevations, much more in our higher elevations. Now, the one that's not as high of resolution forecast model doesn't show nearly as much, and winds are just gusty right now. With these gusty winds continuing, it feels much cooler than it actually is, and we have that snow expected tonight. Now, actual wind speeds are more like 15 to 25 miles per hour. Still right on target with the forecast, this is just going to continue through tonight. It stays breezy through the overnight hours. By tomorrow, getting gusty at times again, and then the tapering winds. After that, we are back down to a light breeze Friday. And remember, Friday is when we get that golden orb sunshine and we start to warm right up. So for tonight, we're talking 20s with a few 30s and teens. By tomorrow, 40s with a few 50s possible, especially in areas that start to clear out quicker. Now, the 7-day planner shows this winter storm warning staying through Thursday. In fact, 5 p.m. Thursday. Once we start to get that sunshine, the warming trend begins, and that warming continues till we are well into the 70s for several days. By Tuesday and Wednesday, higher rain chances, lowering temperatures, and, or I should say cooling temperatures, breezy for many of us. Now, our weather headlines for this April Fool's Day, Wednesday, April the 1st, include gusty winds, chilly conditions, and rain becoming snow tonight. This winter storm warning is until 5 p.m. Thursday. That says 9 p.m. Thursday, but we have a big warming trend expected as we go forward. So that's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.